Okay, so last week I drove two R34 GT-Rs down in Utah. One was essentially a factory twin turbo car, and the other was a single turbo car making about 450 horsepower. And I said, you might not need 1,000 horsepower in your R34 GT-R. And the guys at Motive Video, who might know a thing or two about GT-Rs, commented and they're like, I think you need to get behind the wheel of a properly built 1,000 horsepower R34 GT-R. I already had this video planned with Charles, but here it is. Behind me, I have a properly built 1,000 horsepower GT-R, and I have a feeling it might shatter my argument just a little bit. Fires right up. A lot of these cars, you got to give a little bit of gas if the tune's not right, but no, this is a professionally built vehicle, as we're about to find out. And I have a feeling this is going to be the most well put together GT-R I've ever driven. I won't say it yet, but I have a feeling, just based on reading the spec sheet and going over the history of this car, it is an incredibly special car. So let's go for a drive. No, it's not just the power that makes this one special. Even after pressing the clutch pedal, I knew this wasn't going to be a delicate drive. Yeah, the clutch is not too grabby. It's definitely not like unsprung 6-puck on-off switch. That's the sound of an OS 88 sequential gearbox paired to an OS Giken 3.1 liter RB26 built by Garage Saurus. All right. Okay, so I'm using the clutch. You got to use the clutch off the line, of course, and then once you're going and you shift quick, of course, then you don't have to use the clutch. This car, effectively, back in the day, was the R&D car, the test car from the factory when these came out in '99 for Garage Saurus in Japan and OS Giken to develop the 3.1 liter stroker kit, the high-deck 3.1 liter kit for these cars. Back in the day, you're not gonna know, no one really knew that this was gonna become the car it is today. It didn't have the meaning behind it, you know, Gran Turismo hadn't cemented it in the zeitgeist of car culture, so to speak. That's a really cringy way of saying that, but it's true. So this car's basically been frozen in time for the last 10 years. It was sitting in storage, and our friend Charles Wong, if you guys know, here in Vancouver, he's been on the channel before. And he's been working with Garage Saurus for years and years. But this one is different. He saw potential and he's built it to be the ultimate street car that's also happy to hit the track. Garage Saurus approached him in Japan and they were like, hey, do you want to buy this car? It's been sitting here for 10 years in storage. There's nothing worse than a car that's not being driven, so they worked out a deal and scheduled the export. Before Charles brought the car back here, of course, he's gonna do some track days while he's in Japan. So he hit up Suzuka, he hit up Fuji Speedway. The key is there's been a few modifications, so we'll go over those in just a second, but all right. Just up to 6,500 RPM there. Obviously, it's got an open wastegate. That is, I mean, already, you guys, this is way more responsive than Brad's single turbo car, his Midnight Purple car. Not to throw you under the bus, Brad. Obviously, this is a completely different beast. It's got HKS V-cam, step 2 in it. So that's basically just to help with the low and mid-range torque with the 3.1. That's gonna do pretty much all you can with these engines to get a drivable street car, but also if you're pulling out of a tight corner on the track and you can't have it up, 7,000-8,000 RPM, then you have a ton of torque to power out. Yeah, I mean, yeah. You guys, 3,500 RPM, it's already spooling. That's ridiculous. I mean, it would be one thing to have 3.1 liters of displacement, obviously larger than a factory 2JZ at that point, but it's another thing to do V-cam, right? And these things are like, these are like the golden nuggets of the GT-R world. This is the stuff that, I mean, guys in Australia and New Zealand have been doing forever, but up here in the Pacific Northwest, this is not a thing you see. This is not a normal thing. the most satisfying thing in the world. It's not dramatic. It's not dramatic at all. This is contrary to the opposite of every single turbo Skyline I've ever driven. It's like, I mean, that's ridiculous. 4,000 RPM and you can feel a ton of boost already coming in. This is at low boost, about 18, 20 PSI. It's about 750 horsepower right now, but I mean, this is easily capable of 1,000 horsepower, and that's about what it was running when Charles was in Japan. Brakes are touchy. It also had a big brake kit put on by Garage Saurus back in Japan before it was exported. Okay, now I'm getting the hang of it. I mean, the thing is so incredibly quick to rev up. It's not that loud either. The thing you get the most noise from is the transmission. And then of course when the wastegate opens, but dang. All right, so not only is the engine built and has been built for over 25 years at this point now, there's a lot of stuff that Charles has done now that the car's back here in Canada. They did a few things back in Japan at Garage Saurus, which included the OS 88 sequential gearbox and stuff like that, just refreshing everything up. It's got a new Garrett G40 turbo, dual ball bearing turbo, as opposed to the original journal bearing T88. So that's a huge upgrade. But Charles, as you guys know, CW Unit on Instagram, CW Collective, they build a bunch of parts. And as you guys can see, this fender is not factory. So we'll start out with the body and go from there. This is a dry carbon Z-Tune style fender up here. The front bumper is also dry carbon. It's kind of crazy because the process in creating something like this versus your standard carbon fiber bits is a lot more involved. It's a lot more expensive to create, but they've done that. Charles has done that. And this is their prototype dry carbon lip there as well. So not only, of course, lightening the car up, side skirts too, but also just creating something that looks badass. Right now as it sits, it's got a complete v-spec 2 interior, so that's been done, but everything else, suspension arms are gonna get done. They're developing a bunch of bits for that, and this is not gonna just be a recreation of the OEM stuff in lighter materials. They're going to create it so the arms actually have airflow properties that more align with, you know, brake cooling and stuff like that, and help the car's performance and not just lighten it up a little bit. And the big thing are these center lock wheels here. This is a complete hub replacement. It was funny because Charles, we were talking earlier driving the car, and he's like, a lot of guys come up to me and they're like, hey, what center caps are these on your wheels? And Charles was like, these are not center caps. This is a fully developed system that they've built. Took years of R&D to make this. And this is effectively how Porsche and Lamborghini do it from the factory. So as Charles was explaining it to me, there's no like opposite thread on the other side to keep it kind of from backing out. This is a full hub replacement developed for the R34 GT-R. And these are his wheels as well, forged wheels, 19 by 11s here, and you know, well over 300 pound-feet to get those undone, which is insane. And then of course, back in Japan, Garage Saurus did their updated 6-piston big brake kit. Under the hood, it's a little bit dusty right now. Charles is gonna go in there and update all the gaskets. Of course, it hasn't been driven effectively in like 10 years, so all that stuff is aging and old. He's gonna keep all the ARC stuff, intercooler. Most of it's pretty good to go. If an M-spec NER in Millennium Jade is the collector's dream, this is the driver's dream. Actually, scratch that, it's both. It's not a V-spec, but it's only been driven 15,000 kilometers and arguably holds just as much importance in the GT-R world. With a modern turbo and HKS V-cam controlled by an HKS FCON V-Pro, this feels like it's as good as it's gonna get. Even though the entire drive, I'm sitting here thinking, it has so much more power potential given the right fuel and a bit more boost. The response is crazy, and it's still got big top-end power if you have enough road to rev it out. Before I go, you guys, also, special Stage Route 5 sweaters are on the site right now. Maybe you're a Gran Turismo nerd, maybe you're not. We've also got a couple other things, new merch items on the store if you want to check it out. So when this car was originally built, I believe it was based on an N1 block as well. So that effectively, in short, I'm no engineer, I've never rebuilt an RB, but as far as I know, that block, the bottom end, Nismo, basically just fixed a lot of the oiling issues that RB26s have from the factory. Believe it or not, yeah, RBs have problems from the factory. And a lot of that came down to oiling issues. So especially if you're on the track, that's gonna be like the basic to get this thing reliable on the track, especially when you're throwing a stroker kit at it. Oh. Words do not describe that feeling. I mean, this is as quick as an RB26 is gonna shift. I don't know about you guys, I would not want to risk misshifting a 1,000 horsepower RB26 on the track. That would be, anything above like 600-700 horsepower is really tough to drive at full throttle with a manual. That's just the reality of it. It's a little bit easier, maybe if you have something that is naturally aspirated, it's a little bit more predictable, but dang. I mean, yeah, it's a track car. It's got Olin suspension on it. Flag R coilovers, I believe. It's stiff, you know, it's a little bouncy, but there aren't that many things that compromise it on the street. The sequential doesn't really. I actually think it makes it a little bit easier to drive on the street in most scenarios. Hey, and the AC still works. Amazing. Something so valuable about miles put on a car, effectively a priceless car like this. I mean, you know, people like to spitball numbers, v-spec cars, the rare midnight purple cars, how much they're worth, how much the next one's gonna go for at auction. But with a car like this, with so much rich history over in Japan, you absolutely can't put a price on this. But I just think it's cool that Garage Saurus gave Charles the opportunity, and that Charles is taking advantage of it, to be able to bring this car to you guys, to the masses, right? To shine a light on it, because I could see it being maybe not easy, and maybe forgetting isn't the right word, but I could see having a shop and having such a crazy history like Garage Saurus has, with all these milestones, you know, 7-second cars, 8-second cars, back in the day, competing with HKS, all this. I mean, to be there would have been insane, right? To have all that happen, and then this isn't even the most insane car that they did, but it was an important car, and it just kind of fell by the wayside, I'd imagine, right? They didn't drive this car, it was sitting in storage. So I think it's cool that that they gave Charles the opportunity to take it to the next level, to take it to a modern spec, and that's exactly what he's doing. Even over bumps there, high speed, one-handed. Yeah, took the bumps really well. Super composed, incredibly composed. We'll try that again, shifting with no clutch this time. Wow. That is something. When you talk about just a visceral experience, any number of words to describe that, like connected, raw, analog, all those words apply. I mean, this is the best of the best. It's the most well-rounded GT-R I've ever driven. Also probably the most expensive R34 GT-R I've ever driven. But like I said, that's not the point here. It's not about, you know, limited edition, midnight purple, all that stuff. This is not a collector's car, despite the fact having 15,000 kilometers, which blows my mind. It's a piece of history. It's a special car. So I just want to thank Charles for letting me drive the car. All his stuff is in the description. All the parts I've listed that Charles has available are down there as well. He's continuously developing stuff for these cars, which I just think is awesome. If you guys haven't subscribed, that really helps us out. We'll see you next time. So does your GT-R need 1000 horsepower on the street? Well, no, but even at low boost, this one solves almost everything that makes me say that. The last thing I want out of a GT-R is 5,000 or 6,000 RPM of blank space in the power band. And that's exactly why OS Giken developed the first high deck block for these cars over 20 years ago. Sure, you still need an insane amount of road to stretch its legs, which makes 750 horsepower the sweet spot. But beyond the drive itself, I was left with the overwhelming feeling that both competition and collaboration can exist and thrive in the same space.